A
young
shut up
man?
transaction from a FDNY worker, a sergeant. Yeah,
How much?
he paid a couple transactions, 15,000 apiece,
What?
and my mom orchestrated it. We
So
have
she blackmailed
pictures.
him.
Yeah, she got him on the setup. She was like that because he kept on coming for the youngest one. And he was like really wants some no phones, no pictures, no. He was, I'm gonna lose my job, I'm gonna use my retirement, my pension. And my mom set it up and recorded that nigga one time and had her blackmailing him.
Did he ever get caught?
No, because he kept paying.
What's good? My name is Chris Styles. This is Trappin Anonymous. Welcome back. We are back. Thank you everybody for supporting us, keeping the movement moving. Definitely appreciate that. Please follow me on that Instagram at Chris Styles, at Trappin Anonymous. Follow at Breakbeat Media. Shout out to the team, the network, the family. We appreciate it. The episode that we have for you today, I think this is gonna get a little deep, but we're gonna talk about the pimp game. Actually, um, I have a madam here with me, or ex madam. Well, that's up for interpretation, because you have to remember that the stories that you hear do not reflect real life. They're here to educate, entertain, and possibly keep your homie off the streets. This is Chris Styles. My name is Trappin Anonymous. Let's get it. How are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
I jump right into my interviews.
Let's do it.
What was the first time you had sex for money?
I wanna say maybe 12 going into 13 years old.
How did that happen?
So that kind of stemmed from the relationship with my mother and her viewpoints on me dating, period. So she was strictly, you ain't fucking with no nigga if he ain't giving you something.
Hmm.
And that meant I couldn't have no little boyfriends coming to the house or none of that. Everything was solely what was he giving you? What was you gaining out the situation from when I was a young girl?
Hmm.
So I never really had no,
So sort of use what you got to get what you want mentality.
basically.
Um, how does a 12 or 13-year-old? I couldn't even imagine that kids were having sex at that age. So how does a 12 or 13-year-old sort of get into prostitution so young?
Um, oh wow. So I had a situation when I was younger and I lost my virginity being gang raped in a building. And so with that experience, sex was something that was trauma. It was something that was forced. It was something that at one time, my first time, it was done with multiple men. And that kind of made it a little bit easier to break into using them for something instead of being victimized by them.
How old were you?
I was 10.
I mean, you're bleeding,
Yeah.
and these guys are just going.
Yeah.
I, I don't know. It breaks my heart to hear things like that. That they go on every day,
Yeah.
and instead of using it as something to sort of, like you said, victimize yourself, and
Right.
you use it as sort of a strength to make sure that if this was something you're gonna be doing.
Get something out of it. And then, I mean, like when I went home, it wasn't something that was easily dealt with. I was kind of like victim blamed by my mother too. So, like, I got well, what the fuck were you doing over there in that neighborhood? And how did you even get around those guys? More so, than the consoling, like, what happened to you and how'd you get in that situation in a mothering way. It was, well, you put yourself there, it happened, and watch what you're doing next time you're out there in the fucking street.
How many guys was it?
I'm gonna be real, I lost count after like 12. So it had to be over 15 men.
And they sort of just like set you up, lured you.
Yeah, kind of. It was like a luring.
Yeah.
I was chilling with one of my homegirls in the park, and she flat left me because she went to go chill with some niggas. And she lived, I want to say, in a 6 block radius from my neighborhood, from the park where we were chilling at. And while we were walking to the park from her house earlier that day, there were, gentlemen outside smoking, chilling. These were regular men from her neighborhood. I've always seen them going and coming, and I decided to double back because I knew I would have got my ass whooped for going home without her, because that was the rule. We left home together, we go home together.
Absolutely.
And she had left me, and my mother was very abusive. She's a former cokehead. And so her coming off of drugs, me being very young, I knew I had to follow the rules. And one of those was, yeah, you left home with her, you come home with her. And being flat left, I was really scared I was going to get my ass whooped. I spun the block, and those guys were still standing there in front of the store. And one of the gentlemen approached me and told me that my homegirl went in the building. I did throw it out there that I was looking for my friend that I left earlier
Mhm.
with.
Mhm.
And he offered to walk with me, and I don't want to repeat names or anything like that. A guy shouted to his friend and said, "We're all going to take her. It's kind of late." I thought I was being protected. I thought that somebody was, looking out for me because it was a late,
You're 10 years
and
old.
yeah. And I got to the building, and the guy that initially told me that he was going to walk with me punched me in my face. And the rest of them just walked over, started kicking me, stomping me out. After the first guy punched me in my face, I remember my cheek got so swollen that it went over my eyebrow. And so I couldn't see at all in my left eye. Like it was completely shut. And I started trying to scream. They covered up my mouth. They were stomping me out and stuff. And I was just trying to get somebody to come out of their apartment. And I didn't nobody was really trying to come out of their apartment. I guess nobody wanted none of what was going on.
For sure.
And they managed to rip down my pants, and nobody wore a condom or anything like that. And they continued beating me. I got sodomized and raped. And I played dead, so they would stop. And
Let's take a minute.
yeah,
Let's take a minute. They left you there to die.
yeah. And I thought I was going to at one point, and a Spanish woman came out of her home, and when she opened her door, I heard her call for someone. I don't know if it was her son or her husband, and she told him to call the police. It's a girl in the hallway, and everybody pretty much like took off running. And I know that she dealt with the saints because she had a Saint Guadalupe,
Oh
the
yeah,
one that I wear now.
that's
And she
the
called the
Saint of Lost
police.
Causes.
Yeah. And she called the police for me. And I remember trying to stay awake and like until I seen like the police get there at
Mm.
least, but I felt safe with her. Like I
Mm.
just felt really comfortable enough to at least close my eyes because my body just ran out of the adrenaline that I was
Mhm.
on, whatever that the fuck was keeping me going. And once the police came and I heard them bust in the building, I knew it was okay to close my eyes.
Mm.
And I didn't have any knowledge of all the blood and
Mm.
everything that was around because one of my eyes was already shut
Shut.
from being punched in the face. And the other one, I couldn't keep myself to open my eyes any longer. But
Sure.
they thought that they had killed me in the building. And they waited for EMS to come. I had a pulse, and they shipped me to the hospital, which one I do not remember.
Mhm.
And from there, I know a piece of me died. I was never the same person.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. And you wear that still
Yeah.
to this
I
day.
have different Saint Guadalupes. I love it. I keep them on my rings. I wear them on chains. I love her.
Wow. There's a there's a purpose for you, like there's something bigger. There's more. You know, God's not done. He's not finished. And I just know your impact has already been great, even when we talked about your book and things that you're working on. So this, have you ever saw these guys again?
So I had to actually walk past them for years because I the neighborhood I lived in, um I was more scared to snitch
Mm-hmm.
than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I could have lost my life, they left it up to my mother to press charges. They still said that I had to take the stand, and I actually ended up running away from home so I didn't have to. And because I didn't, I was forced to walk back and forth past these men up until I was about 14 and ended up in a group home. And the most fucking ironic thing happened where um, the main guy who said he was going to help me when he ended up, punching me in my face and initiating everything. I was roommates with his sister in a group home and never fucking knew that was his sister. And so, I was kind of like irate with my behavior. I ran away. I started doing drugs and, being hypersexual and stuff. And I was placed in a group home upstate. And I really wasn't talkative. And my roommate, she got me to open up by telling me about the block. And we lived around the same hood. And I just couldn't understand why we never came in past, like cross paths with each other, nothing. And she was like, yeah, I started wilding out when this girl lied on me and got my brother locked up for rape, but he came back home. And I'm like, yeah, really? What happened? What was the girl's name? Like trying to like figure out what's what. And she was like, yeah, my brother's name is da da da. And my heart sank down into my fucking asshole because I done got so close with this girl and built such a big ass bond with her. And her whole life, she fucking hated me before she even met me because
Mm-hmm.
she blamed me for the downfall of her brother. And she
Mm-hmm.
never even know he really raped me. And I couldn't even stomach to tell her because we were so close friends that, your brother is a rapist and he punched me in my face and raped me. And so I kind of fell back and lost a friend that day and ran away from the group home.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Oh, wow. That is just, I think about like life, like, and how much like people have to like undergo. And they say God gives his strongest battles to his toughest soldiers, and things like that. How are you able to look at life and not feel like, I just got the short end of the stick? How are you able to persevere? Even when I spoke to you, you was full of smiles, you was laughing, you was joking. When you and I, even when you walked in, I feel like you lit up the room. Yo, y'all hungry? Yo, y'all need anything? I'm supposed to be taking care of you, giving you the hospitality, and your heart's so big. I'm just like, damn, like, and then to hear your story, it's like there's people with 100 times better upbringing with not an ounce of the decency that you have, or just the kind-heartedness that you have. So how do you find that? How are you able to tap into such a pure and happy place? I'm sure that can help other people when they think their life is bad. They're gonna hear your story and they're gonna be like, if she could persevere this way, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of good things coming your way. We spoke off camera, and God is real. God is real, and it takes you to really go through it to see the face of God. But when He reveals Himself to you, you can't unsee it. So, what, how do you do it?
So I've walked down a few different paths in life and I've held a few different demeanors. along the way. I've been the overly arrogant bitch. I've been the overly, nice bitch. I've been every type of bitch you could fathom. And what I realized is that the best bitch to be is the straight bitch. Walk a straight path. Don't
Mm-hmm.
disrespect anybody.
Mm-mm.
And you won't forget, just put out the energy you want to receive. Even if you're not seeing what you're trying to put out in the moment, don't let shit get you the fuck down. Because it's something better coming.
It's coming.
Yeah, and if you walk around with that, I got a problem. Everything is getting me down.
Gonna
It's
follow
gonna be harder to get over that shit. It's gonna get harder to get through a hurdle. That shit is gonna help put you down. Like it's just like I don't know. It's like somebody putting a hex on you. You helping the hex
you. Yep.
go even
Yep.
stronger by feeding into the negative energy and just letting it overcome you. If you gotta fight that shit with positivity, with a higher vibration,
Right.
and just know that God got you. It's a higher power. Like if it ain't kill you, it's gonna definitely make you stronger. And as long as you woke the fuck up, you blessed.
That's wisdom. That's wisdom. That's some things that some people never reach that point where they can understand and speak from that perspective. Sometimes people just go their whole life, woe is me. And, yeah, woe it is you, you know, what happens next? So this happened to, this happened to things that happen to me, things that happen to anybody in the street. What life tells us is that, yes, it happened, you know, but now what? What are we going to become next? Who are we going to become next? How are we going to persevere? And, I think you're just a true testament of just that warrior mentality and just graciousness. Just, you know, I can't imagine, having to live,
And I've thought
these
about
things.
suicide, don't get me fucked up, like at all. But then I've also watched what suicide does to families. Like I've had a close friend who committed suicide. I'm not even gonna call her a friend, I'm gonna just be real. My sister Ashley committed suicide. And that's how I started my company. She was a 9, I'm an 11. And that's its own story. And it was times where I wanted to straight out myself. And I feel like, damn, bitch, you beat me to it. Like you always beat me to something. You even beat me to that shit. And I watched how that break my mother down. She still never mentally came back from it. And
Right?
then I'm like, damn, I got children. If I go, what the fuck is really gonna happen?
What you gonna do?
I'm alive and that happened.
How did she kill herself, if you don't mind?
She jumped from her friend's balcony on 59th and Columbus Circle. Yeah.
And did she leave a note? Did you get to speak to her? Was there any sort of solace or that you got, or did you just have to?
I think that was the humbling shit for me, why I became who I am, to be real. Cause no, and we stopped speaking over petty shit. Like literally a year before she kills herself, we
Mm,
stopped talking because
mm,
of the juice I decided to give my daughter one time.
mm,
She didn't feel like it was healthy enough,
mm.
and something so petty like juice was the last time that I ever spoke to my sister. So that shit kind of fucked me up.
Yo, you don't even know, like, you doing God's work right now. That's some people I gotta reach out to.
I would suggest you do
It's
that
some people
because you never know when the fuck anybody
for
or
sure.
what they going through. And the way I broke on her over Jews, she felt like, damn, I can't reach out to you about what the fuck I'm dealing with.
Mm.
Because I'm all like, damn, you part-time auntie. You only come around on fucking holidays. It's Christmas. You bashing me over Jews. That was the last time I seen my sister.
To take a step back, I'm trying to, you know, keep this interview going. It's very difficult. I didn't realize, we didn't really have an in-depth conversation before.
Yeah, I just told you some shit.
Yeah, you just you just like I was like, okay, yeah, sounds cool. You know what I mean? And um, but even for you to become a madam, I could only imagine of the things that you had to endure
Mm,
to be able to pimp other women.
yeah.
So that first time, 12, you received 12, 13, you received money. Do you have a pimp at this time, or are you sort of working for yourself?
I was kind of working for myself,
Mm.
and it was so embarrassing. I was like, I was fucking for barely nothing. I was just fucking to say that I got something out the deal.
Yeah,
And it would probably be like maybe 20,
yeah,
$30
yeah,
from a
yeah.
guy. Um, maybe take me to go get my eyebrows
Hmm.
waxed or something very cheap that I was like, oh, at least I got something.
Hmm.
And then I feel like, damn, go tell my mom and brag and boast, and she hit me with the bitch. Okay, make that nigga do da 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 now. Make that nigga take you shopping. I'm like, damn, Ali, I just got my fucking eyebrows done, bitch. I gotta step it up. Like, what do I gotta do to get that type of shit? Like,
At 13,
yes,
your mother's saying this to you.
yeah.
And then what? How does this
So,
progress? Does it progress? Does it regress?
yeah,
What happened?
that she started introducing me to some of her older male friends,
Oh my
and they were willing to give me money. And see, at that age, I wasn't thinking, okay, that's a pedophile. I'm being pimped out to a grown ass man that want to fuck on a little ass girl for some money. At that age, I'm like, oh, he's grown and he liked me. He sees something in me.
God. Yeah.
He gonna give me something. That's the shit my mother was talking about. He got big money. He got something for me. I can go shopping with that. Oh, and he drive. He a big boy. He got a car. And
Mm.
this the shit my mother was talking about. Now I'm getting it.
Mm.
And yeah, so that's how it started.
At what point did you realize maybe the money ain't worth it?
I got caught up in a situation trying to steer in my own like way. Um I pretty much got tired of my mother narrating things and bringing guys and oh talk to him and he got this, and I wanted to try my own thing.
Mm.
And I went to Brooklyn and I met up with a pimp, and I met him online actually, and he was about what he said he was about. And he started schooling me onto real shit, like, walking the blade, they call it,
Yeah, I've heard of it.
and, showing me the back ropes and basically telling me what money really looked like. How, you really make money, how you really make a nigga spend, how anybody could be a trick. It's not what your mother showed you, it's how you talk to a nigga. It's who like,
He's sort of the iceberg slim of your
yeah,
life. When I read that book, I just learned so much about sort of, you know,
the game,
the pimp game.
right?
To backtrack just a little bit before we get into that phase of your life, what was sort of the most you would get at this 13, 14, 15 age? Like, what was sort of the gifts that,
When the grown men started spending it, as far as cash was concerned, I probably get maybe like 2 or 300, but I
yeah.
never knew what my mother was pocketing because she was doing the
Oh,
arrangements. And I know my mother, she was making her cut up off the top. So if she was willing to throw me a little $200, $300,
man.
she got fucking paid because these men was grown. I mean 30, 40 years old, some of them in their 50s.
And
I
how
was
often would this happen?
every weekend.
Every weekend.
Yeah.
For how long?
Up until I was about maybe 15 or 16. Yeah.
And these men, probably wives at home, kids,
Mm-hmm.
come into your house.
Mm-hmm. No, they would sometimes be set up like
Okay,
hotels
yeah.
or like car dates and shit like that, like arrangements where they wouldn't really be too much around the crib unless these were real close friends of my mother, like that already knew where we lived before I started, dealing with her like that.
15 or any age before that, what was sort of like your worst experience dealing with those older men, if you could remember?
Men being too big, being too rough, not caring that I'm a little ass girl and I
Mm.
really don't got too much sexual experience,
Right.
having too many high expectations of me as a child to perform on them. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I could imagine how, you're just a child.
yeah.
You're just a child. At 15, what happens? What you meet this guy, he puts you on the game, and you're like, okay, it's time to get this shit on my own.
Yeah, so I went a few go rounds with him on the blade. And my first experience, this shit is so crazy.
Oh, the
So,
blade for people that don't know.
oh, so the blade is pretty much like the whole stroll. And it's like, um, I don't know who's familiar with like Hunts Point, like the back areas of Hunts Point and stuff like that. And it's pretty much like any real trucking area or any real like area where it's a lot of car traffic and shit like
Like
that,
over
like
there
maybe
by
Pickens or something. Yeah,
Pennsylvania. Yep.
Pennsylvania, yeah, that's definitely a blade.
Mhm.
Um, Strips like that are considered blades because people usually park up over there or whatever. They're looking for some entertainment or whatever. Like like any high truck activity areas, I would say. Any like
Mhm.
deserted areas, those are blades.
Mhm.
But so I worked the blade, and my first time going out there, I knew that there was a girl that he had in the stable. In the stable, for those who don't know, are the girls that you live amongst. I guess you want to say your sister wives that you got to get along with. You go and get your money with them. She was supposed to be schooling me, and when we hit the blade, every car that stops, like was trying to stop for me, she would intercept and take the date. And so I'm thinking, because this is my first time on the blade, yo, this bitch got my back. Like she just holding me down. She
Mm.
making sure I ain't gotta fuck nothing. My bitch is
Mm.
good. I fuck with her. She set me up to get fucked up. Like I ain't have no money at the end of that. Like she was basically cutting my throat and taking all of my dates or
Mhm.
whatever. Like I would have been making fucking money, but she was making sure I ain't make shit. So when
Mm.
we got in the car and he said for us bitches to break ourselves, I'm looking like I ain't got nothing to get this nigga. And he backhanded the fuck out of me until I saw stars and lights. And I was like, wow,
He said he told y'all bitches to do what?
to break ourselves, like empty
Oh,
our pockets what we
but
made for the night. And I ain't have nothing to give him because she took all of my dates every
and you
time a car stopped.
and you 15.
Yeah,
He backhands you.
yeah, real hard. And then she laughing too. I'm like, that shit ain't funny because bitch, you took all the dates. And if you ain't do that, then I would have had something to give him.
And from that day on, you wouldn't allow.
No, bitch, to cut my throat. Yeah, I was on it. I'm at the cars. I'm doing what I gotta do.
Mm.
And that lasted for about, I want to say 3 or 4 months. And I got tired of fucking like that and then giving this man all my money. And
Mm.
this shit is to be going to all of us. And I'm like, if I take all of my shit from all the stuff that I'm doing and do it on my own, I'm gonna be straight. Fuck you and these bitches.
And you live at a house that he has set up for all.
Yeah.
Okay. And so he's giving you all of this game, and unfortunately, it came at the price of all of your earnings.
Yeah.
But you've learned some ways to work the blade.
Basically, I mean, not even work the blade because after that experience, I pretty much was done with the blade.
Yeah.
I took what he gave me as far as knowledge,
Mhm.
and I like, implemented that in just dating to get what I wanted from men. So now it's like I don't want to be outside fucking these niggas. How can I get in their head inside the house and not, be outside doing it? And so learning, I guess the proper way is manipulation. We just gonna call it like how it
Yeah.
is. So he
And
taught
that's
me how to basically manipulate a nigga the right way and how anybody can be a trick. You can make them your man and get tricked at the same time.
so if now from 15 to I know a certain age, this is what you're doing. This is your hustle. This is the
Yeah.
new hustle.
Now I'm dating pedophiles. I'm going
Straight
for
up.
the old niggas that want young pussy that's gonna give you what the fuck you want to be quiet because now I know I'm young, I'm fresh me. You wanna fuck on me and you gonna give me what I want because you don't want me to tell nobody because I was fucking minor
Mm.
and it's going I'm living now. Now it's over.
Where you living at now?
I'm in the city, I'm around.
Yeah. Okay. So you getting money though,
Mm-hmm.
and now things are sort of taking this swing. I'm sure you're away from your mom now.
Mm-hmm.
You got your own sort of setup. You're not in school.
No, and that's
Never.
what was my fucking problem. That ended up getting me shipped away to Boston. But before my long, I ended up doing Boston dirty, but that's another story because I ended up doing a pedophile staff, another thing. But
What do you mean the pedophile staff?
because everywhere they send you in group homes and shit like that,
Okay.
all of those places is breeding grounds for niggas that want to prey on kids.
I've heard that.
Yeah, all you parents out home, if watching this, I suggest y'all find alternative ways to parent y'all children when they going through things and stuff like that. Because little do you know, you sending your kids amongst nothing but fucking pedophiles. All those juvenile detention places, group homes, fucking mental institutions, they all want to fuck on your children. They all sexualize your children. They all offer them things in exchange for sexual favors like snacks and food, like when you're not coming up there visiting them. So, yeah, be careful of that shit.
I can imagine that's the case as well because they know you don't really have anybody.
Yep.
They know you don't have no family,
Yep.
no friends.
Mm-hmm.
You're here because everyone else has sort of left you hanging. So let me present myself in the image of a savior and
And you willing to do anything for that person,
wow,
especially when you real weak.
wow, wow. Oh. Okay. So you went to Boston and
Yeah, but prior to going to Boston, I just, Um, I turned it up. I started fucking with the neighborhood pedophiles, but my only issue was I didn't go to school. I didn't have
yeah.
nobody go and enroll me in. So now I'm an underage person. I went missing for all this time. And then by the time my mother catch up to me, she don't want to hold down the fact that she don't give a fuck. So she gotta play that, oh, that bitch ran away,
Mm-hmm.
move on me. And
Mm-hmm.
so the city get involved, or your daughter been out of school for all this time, she gotta go away, or she's a ward of the state. So she shipped me off to a school in Boston.
And you still out there doing the same thing?
Oh, yeah, it got worse because now you got different class of pedophiles. You got people that want to mass manipulate you. They dragging you up. They got you're classified as you got behavioral issues and
Yep.
nothing you say is the truth. If you're a problem child, you're a runaway, you're institutional, like those are the issues. So even if you wanted to complain about what the fuck was going on, it's your word against the state, literally.
So how long are you in Boston doing this?
Until I'm 19 years old.
19, what happens?
19, I fucked with a good pedophile that was up there.
Do you hear what he's saying?
Yeah, I do, but I mean, it's the hard fucking truths of what it is.
All right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and he got me a bus ticket and I ran away and came back to New York, made it back to my mom's, and she allowed me to stay because when I was over 18, she was fighting me for guardianship so she can keep on getting checks for me while I was up there. Didn't send me nothing. So, she was good with the whole water to state shit. Exactly. So, once I made my way back to the city, she wasn't really fighting me with the whole go back up there shit.
She want the
In
money.
New York, it's a different type of ball game. You 18, we can't force her to go do nothing, man. So, yeah.
Okay, so at what point do you switch and say, you know what? I'm gonna be the pimp now. I'm tired of fucking. One of the things in the Iceberg Slim book, he said every hole or every trick has 999 fucks in her. And once you get to 1,000, they break. They ain't got no more in her. You know what I mean? The mileage is run up. Um, can you relate to that? Do you think you
Yeah.
reached that point where you were just like,
Yeah.
it's time to be the pimp instead of, you know,
While I was in that school, actually, a lot of the girls that were there were the easy mode and type, like how the pimp I met back in Brooklyn had in the stable.
mm,
So I was already concocting in my head who I was meeting up with on a home visit, who I was going to have do what,
mm.
how everything was going to be orchestrated. And I guess powerful manifestation, we got up and we got some money
And now, how many girls do you have in your stable?
for,
Wow. And you running them all.
yeah.
You teaching them what was taught to you.
Exactly.
And they're looking at you as the protector,
Yeah,
the mother,
yeah,
the guardian.
exactly. And my mom's was always with this shit. So these bitches ain't got nowhere to go. We got this big ass crib uptown. They in the living room.
Whose crib is it?
My mother's house.
And she is the head honcho.
Mhm. So now it
What
goes back to the person who put me on.
was your mother in this game growing up?
I believe my grandmother just pretty much did to her what she was doing to me with the
Mm-hmm.
going after older men. But when I came back and implemented my knowledge and what I learned from being out in the street and being in institutions and shit like that, it kind of went with what the fuck she knew, and we ran a better organization.
Did it start off with y'all living in public housing?
Yeah, it did.
And then now y'all are in a big house,
Private house,
a private house, making a shit ton of money,
a decent amount of money.
a
It still
decent
wasn't. I'm not gonna, I'm
to
not that capping
embellish.
type or nothing like that. We was living.
How long does that last?
Honestly, not long because then I mean you got the runaway girls. These are, you
Troubled
know,
kids.
exactly. These are young females, and I'm gonna be real realistic. Like one thing about this game, a female definitely could run it. That it's been done.
Yeah.
It has been. It's going to continue to get done. Like that's.
Texas whorehouse.
Hello.
They put a
But
white woman on it and
when a
boom.
man ain't around to dominate certain shit, it goes left real fucking fast. Like a man could keep a bitch in pocket easier than a female can. Like a man could fuck you different and have you listening different. He could keep you in check and tell you something. Like I can give you game, but just because it came from me and you was a bitch, you gonna question me because I'm a bitch. Now if a nigga sat you down and told you, yo, this nigga gonna play you like da-da-da-da, you gonna be more keen to listen to him because why he a nigga? And he know how other niggas act. A bitch gonna look at you like, oh bitch, who the fuck is you?
Was it mandatory to fuck the pimp?
It's not mandatory, but if you wanna really put your foot on a bitch neck and really have her like under your wing like that, yeah, you better fuck her. You better fuck her good.
Fuck him good.
Or her if she's a madam.
Yo, this shit sound like a fucking movie. God damn. This is real. This is going on every day. Because I feel like people go and they pay for prostitutes and they go out and they go to these countries and they pay for more prostitutes and they this, that, and the third, but they don't hear this part about it.
Yeah.
They don't hear the upbringing. They don't know what this person's been going through. They don't know. All they know is they need a nut. They got to catch it, and that's it. There's so much. I mean, if you sat down and really talked to these people, you would have a heart. In my mind, it's hard to overlook some of the pain that somebody has to endure. So we go back to the house. It doesn't last long. Women are catty, quote unquote.
That and I mean, like, I got my own strain of fucking mental illness after all of that shit that
Hell
I've been
yeah.
through. As it's pretty clear, my mother has some type of fucking mental illness,
Mm-hmm.
and so now we dealing with four other bitches in the house that are runaway teen bitches that
Mm,
got mental fucking illness, and I'm
mm,
not equipped to be nobody's therapist at that point in my life because I haven't even started my healing journey back then. So
mm,
what can I do? I got no dick. I have no therapy experience.
mm.
I gotta let them do them.
You 2021.
Yeah. So now I get into the business of marrying.
So, was there anything morally that you felt as a madam wrong because you were that girl before? You knew what it's like to be them. Now you're on the other side. Is there anything that happened that sort of made you feel like, damn, I'm wilding?
So, I came back in touch with the guy who originally had me out on the blade.
Mm,
So now we crossing paths because, we getting money, but we in the same league now.
mm,
And in that sense, it was kind of hard to get people to respect my pimping because, I was once on the other side of the blade. So that's a different, within its own.
mm.
And so
Why would I
when
listen to you? You just like me.
exactly. And so, when I started losing the stable, I had a girl who, she really didn't want to leave, but I couldn't let her stay in my crib no more. And it wasn't like going down the way things was anyway. It had to go.
Mhm.
And so I introduced her to him. And I already knew from experience
Mm,
and dealing with him
mm,
that that was a bad move. And I was really fucking money hungry at that point. And me and him made a monetary exchange for her. And years later, she ended up killing herself. And I never got the backstory on that, how that happened. And that made me feel like, damn, I don't want to say a sense of responsibility, but I know I had my hand to play in that shit.
mm.
And I'm gonna just be real with that. Because I know whatever she went through in that stable, in that household, I played my part in that. And I could have just told her, yo, go the fuck home. Like, this is over with. Like, go home. And instead, I let her in another direction because I was greedy.
How much did you make?
A couple $100. It wasn't even 1,000.
Shit. What was the best part about, this might sound wild, about being a prostitute?
The freedom, the liberation. Like, it didn't feel icky when I was fucking a nigga. Well, at least for me, it felt really empowering.
Mm,
Like, I'm about to break your fucking pockets, bitch.
mm,
I'm about to do whatever, whatever. Fake like I like this shit, but you gonna give me money.
mm. Worst part.
The demeaning shit some niggas would ask for.
Like what?
Either letting them pee on you or asking you to pee on them, spitting on them or them spitting on you. I've been spit in my face. Like white men like to be real racial and demeaning. I never got that type of treatment from a black guy
Mhm.
or a Spanish guy, nothing like that. But white clients will pay you stupid amount of fucking money to racially demean you during sex. Or vice versa. Like some of them like to get their ass whooped, get their balls stepped on, get spit on, shit like that. But for the most part, they want to talk down to you and treat you like shit while they fucking you.
What do you feel like is like the worst thing you sort of did for the most amount of money, I guess?
Letting a nigga piss on me,
Yeah.
spit on me.
How much did they pay you
We ain't
for?
gonna disclose that, but yeah,
Copy, copy,
yeah.
copy. Pros and cons about being a madam. What was the best part about being a madam?
Again, the liberation,
Yep.
the respect was a big thing too. The way like they looked up to me, was coming to me for guidance, and it was really motherly and big sisterly at the same time. Like, I know you got me. Whatever you tell me is what it is. You ain't gonna lead me in a fucked up direction. And for somebody to feel confident in my word like that made me feel real good about myself. Like, you must know that I got you bitches. And I got you bitches.
I got you bitches.
Yeah.
You're crazy. Yeah, but sort of thinking about how you go from this role of being the one that stepped on, spit on, pissed on, to now the one that's being exalted. You know, that power dynamic, the dichotomy must be like, oh my God, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You got to see both sides of sort of that.
And I think that's pretty much what led them to trust me a little bit more. Me being open and honest about working the blade and my experience. So when I'm letting them know, like, yeah, this is what you gotta do, this is what you gotta expect, and this is what you shouldn't tolerate, and this is what I'm not allowing you to tolerate. They was listening to me because I done been there and done that.
Was there a lot of money in?
Yeah, definitely. Because I want to say because a lot of them weren't over 18. And what I've learned, and I know this is very fucking cringe, is that men like younger girls. Yeah,
And they're willing to pay.
pay a pretty fucking penny
How
and
much?
pay even more for you to shut up about it.
How much would you say you've made, like, on a transaction like that? Maybe a shut up transaction or a
A shut up
younger.
transaction from a FDNY worker, a sergeant, yeah,
How much?
he paid a couple transactions, 15,000 apiece.
What?
And my mom orchestrated it. We
So
have
she blackmailed
pictures.
him.
Yeah, she got him on the setup. She was like that because he kept on coming for the youngest one. And he was like really on some no phones, no pictures, no, he was, I'm gonna lose my job, I'm gonna use my retirement, my pension. And my mom set it up and recorded that nigga one time and had her blackmailing him.
Did he ever get caught?
No, because he kept paying up until he retired.
How much he broke him for it?
See that I don't know, because when I
Right.
stop whatever, my mom is such that bitch that I'm pretty confident that when everything went down, even on the blackmailing tip, she still had that nigga sending payments.
Where's your mother right now?
She's good. She is good. She's chilling.
What?
Yeah.
You have a relationship with her?
For advice sometimes
Wow.
on how to get out of certain shit, because my
Wow.
mom's got the gift of gab.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
She had to.
Virgo.
Shit. Okay. All right. So all of this happens. This guy, I just thinking about, 15 grand. I mean, but he's thinking about his life, his wife, his kids, his career.
On the line.
Everything was on the line.
Yeah.
And his, number one, his disgusting nature for young women, his insatiable, he couldn't stop.
No.
His greed. He just kept coming back. So now your mother's like, you know what?
Ain't
Something.
nobody feeling bad for you, yeah. And you only
Nobody.
spending a couple hundred when you come over here anyway. Well, that's what she was seeing. So you know
Right.
what I mean? Like at the end of the day, you gonna break and you got it.
God.
You got it.
Oh,
Mm.
shit. Damn. Um, so obviously a lot more money in being the head than being somebody that's just,
Right, because when you orchestrating things and certain manipulation tactics come into play and blackmailing, that's why you keep your black book updated with certain clients.
yeah.
Like, even dealing in the Jewish community, you got to get the rabbis' information. Because, once they start acting up, getting cheap, nigga, I'm going to the rabbi. Fuck you talking about?
I heard the Jews is
Yeah.
what's that
Till
mean?
this day, I will go to the rabbi and I'm out the game, but I still got a couple Jews on standby that I will threaten with the rabbi real quick when the rent's due. Real quickly.
Till this day.
Till this day, nigga, they got their reparations. We ain't get shit. Don't look at me like that. Till this fucking day. If I say the rent is due, nigga, what happened? Because I will call the rabbi. No, ain't no sucking and fucking involved. Just I will call your rabbi.
Well, why would the rabbi believe you?
Why wouldn't he with all the videos and pictures I got? You stay
Oh.
with, come on.
Oh.
I'm a black girl. You're getting automatically shunned out your community.
When do you walk away? Whole. Like no finessing, no swindling, no nothing. Is that something that you can do?
I can't say that I could 100% like walk away because if those two checks ain't come in the mail before I left, I was definitely gonna pull the rabbi move just so I could have, I was gonna get situated. So anytime my back is up against the wall, that's just like anybody. They're gonna resort back to their survival mode. What do they know how to how do they know how to survive? So anytime I'm in survival mode, my back is up against the wall, the first thing I'm gonna do as a trauma response is resort back to what how the fuck am I gonna get it?
You ain't no fool. You ain't no fool. I'll tell you that. You are not a fool. Um, so let's go back. Let's go back to now you're out of that madam, pimp, trick game. Now you're marrying. What is that?
Okay. So there's levels to that shit too. So you've heard of arranged marriages,
Yes.
right? All right. So not all of these immigrants are broke by a long shot.
Mm-mm.
Okay. A lot of them come from a long line of some money. And as long as you have the money and the resources to be able to travel back to where this person is from and see their lineage and shit like that and do your own observation on things, you can make have proper discernment on who you're dealing with. Because people get over here and they tell you anything, but that comes from trial and error and doing the marrying business. And so I got introduced to an African guy, and he had some people back in Senegal, and they was really about that. The niggas was working for the government and had what was that? What is that passport called?
Dual
Uh,
citizenship.
no, the diplomat.
Oh, diplomat.
Shit, yeah. And the first time I went did the transaction, I married a diplomat so I could get out of legal situations over here. So when I married him, it took him about like 3 months to get back over here to the US. And I applied for my diplomat passport and I got diplomat immunity. So that knocked out a lot of the legal situations that I had. So going back to the situation that me and you talked about off camera, when that went down, I already had diplomat immunity. So that put a whole bigger thing into play with me getting arrested. So, yeah, once I found out that there are certain benefits you can
Right.
get from marrying certain people,
How much money would
um,
you say you made in the marrying business?
the most a Turkish guy paid me was 70K up front, and that was just to, sign the papers. And then you got the wedding ring that gets involved. Then you got what you want on the contract. Like, okay, now you're going half, or I want this paid in full every month, and then my allowance goes to this, and you set up rules and contracts before you do anything, and they got to be willing to pay.
What are you doing with this lump sum of money?
I currently own Air Element 911, which is a skincare company. I have a couple of ATM machines that are set up in people corner stores and shit like that
Yeah.
across the city. I have two nonprofit organizations that are domestic violence shelters for women
Wow.
and children.
Wow.
Um, I still spend their money. I save mine. I invest a lot of my money.
Wow. It's crazy. Like, I always feel like as long as you give, you'll be blessed, you know? And sometimes it be our heart that keeps us above water, you know?
Yeah, I would say being genuine with
Mhm.
them and actually following through with the contracts and the citizenships
Yeah.
be the blessings. Because these people be very spiritually in tune.
Wow.
They be like, Muslims and
Yeah.
stuff like that. They pray hard. And when you look out for them, they look out for you.
Wow.
And so I done got a lot of Muslims, they citizenships. And so a lot of people in that community fuck with me. So you
How
got
many,
different blessings and different.
how much citizens have
I'm
you?
on my ninth marriage. I got married on September 9th, and that's crazy. Like my ninth marriage. So I think that's gonna be the last one because he's a solid nigga, and I think I want to make it real with him. He's cool.
Is he with it?
He dropped a hefty bag on this ring, so I was like, yo, I think he really, really like me, so I might fuck
Right.
with it.
Oh my God. Okay. And that's how we're here today. There's a little gap maybe
Yeah,
between
it's a little gap, but
you start having
we here.
kids,
Yeah,
you know, yeah, you're out of the game.
the kids came in between my, you know,
Okay.
yeah, I got a 8-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Wow. Two is pretty young.
Yeah,
Do you ever have flashbacks of going back to the life? Does it call your name, so to speak?
completely stepping into it,
Yeah.
no, but to get certain shit done, like when my back is against the wall, yes, I will most definitely not, think about it, I'm wholeheartedly going to jump back into it. Like,
Talk to me about STDs and
that's a big thing out there. You got to stay protected. I would say never go raw. And if you're going raw, because let's be realistic, let it be your regular trick.
mhm.
Not the one that you don't really see or the nigga that just came through for the first time. Like, if it's a raw situation, that got to be your trick that you've been fucking with for a minute. I wouldn't recommend the girls out there to do that shit at all, period. But know who you fucking with when you fucking with them raw.
Did you catch a lot of STDs?
No, I was blessed to never catch not a STD at all.
Never.
No,
Wow.
we gonna say in the game. My baby father gave me a STD.
Ain't it crazy how that works?
OD. A trick has never burnt me. My baby father definitely did though.
Talk to me about the drugs. Were you said your mother was on
Cocaine.
cocaine.
Yeah.
What sort of drugs did this lifestyle open you up to? Did you ever get hooked? Was it ever bad? Like, what? Talk to me about
I had an episode with Molly's for a little while.
it. Mm,
You know, I had my run on
I
those.
remember those.
Yeah,
Hmm.
when that was popping, I did my thing on that to stay up, to stay active when I was getting money or whatever. Um, I don't really have an addictive personality, so it was kind of easy to kick.
Hmm.
My biggest addiction is like cigarettes or whatever, or a vape pen.
Hmm.
But drugs, I'm not really into that shit. I'm not into feeling down.
What's something that you would tell that young girl, 13, 10, 11, that turns her first trick?
Oh, that's turn her first trick?
Hmm.
I wouldn't even tell Shorty to do that at all. I would tell her to get into business. For real. Invest into something, I don't know, fucking this crypto shit, be a fucking influencer online, be one of those bitches or whatever. Don't do that, I would say.
What's something that you would leave with young women that want to enter the game, glamorized by the game? There's a lot of things on TV now and social media that sort of glamorizes that lifestyle.
I would
What's
tell a
something?
bitch to stay in her lane. I knew in that game certain things wasn't for me. Like competition is very stiff, okay? So don't think that if you're shaped like a bag of potatoes, and I'm not trying to come at anybody to go run and go to the strip club and thinking that you're gonna outdo them bitches that got their body done
Ah,
and shit like that because they gonna eat you the fuck up
yeah.
on any given Sunday. Know your body, know your lane, know who the fuck your target audience is. Bitch, if you ain't got no ass, you want to go fuck with the nigga who ain't got no dick because he got money and y'all go together. Like, you want to, like, just stay in your lane. You got to go do what works for you and stop trying to do what everything that everybody else is doing because that might not work for you.
What's the end goal?
To live comfortably, to not be doing that shit at all, to say, okay, I ain't gotta make a call when my back is against the wall because my savings is really, really good and I'm straight. Like to not have to depend on nothing and nobody but myself.
What ethnicity, which ethnicity do you think you've dealt with the most in New York?
Hispanic and white,
Not the Jews, not the blacks.
they fall amongst white, I think.
Oh, the Jews.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think. But definitely them and Hispanics.
And like so many things are off limits in their religion. So many
Mm-hmm.
things they're not allowed to.
Yeah.
So what are some of like their requests?
Well, the ones I've dealt with, they really straightforward. They like regular shit because they
Hmm.
really don't get to do much with
Right.
their,
Right.
spouse at home.
Yeah.
So like they really just want head. And a lot of them really just want that. I've never really came. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I've never came across a Drew that wanted to penetrate me. They all just wanted me to suck their dick.
I was talking
Yeah.
I was talking to a corner store owner, and he came out here and had like 10, 11 kids.
Hmm.
And I said, "Why did you go so crazy when you came out here?" He said, "Back home, the sucky sucky." So
No,
I
that's
said,
another thing
he
too.
said
They say they don't suck dick.
they don't.
Yep, and they love the way black girls suck dick.
And for the religion, they're not allowed to even have them do that to them.
See, I didn't even know that part.
So when he came here, he's like, "Oh, they play with the balls, they do the,"
Yeah,
he's like, "That's something that we don't even get to ever experience." So when he came out here, he sort of lost himself and had
look
all of these
crazy.
kids. You know what I'm saying? But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's a big fact. They like had.
Something you want to leave the guests with?
Um, no, a lot of things ain't coming to mind right now.
This is Trappin Anonymous. My name is Chris Styles. Let's get it.